Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it.
This is a business trip, as I like to say.
You, Brad Culpepper.
I'm tired of you and the fucking chicken.
You can call me the puppet master. They can be my little puppets.
It's not like you're making a deal with the devil here.
You get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Who the hell voted for me?
Chicken.
Damn! We got enough rocks here, too. We could build a pretty decent shelter just using rocks.
I'm supposed to talk lamb, or you? You understand that better?
Direct from Hobart, it's time for the only Survivor podcast in Australia dedicated to Survivor, bringing you all the latest interviews, episodes, and opinions from the greatest reality show on the planet. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth.
Hello everybody and welcome to another Oztopsy for Survivor Oz, episode 3, Worlds Apart. I'm obviously not Ben Waterworth because he decided he would go out and see the world instead of talking about Survivor. What a nerd, as if you'd do that. Why wouldn't you be here at 11:05 PM at night talking about Survivor? So shame on him. I'm Noel Groves, filling in for tonight's Oztopsy, which won't be tonight. It will be probably Monday night or Tuesday night. And we'll also be doing the recap tomorrow night, which won't be tomorrow. It will be Monday or Tuesday with Colin speaking with Kathy Sluckman. So fun times ahead without Ben. Yay! I'm joined by 3 Ozlets today. Not Ozlets for once. It's good to be talking about Survivor and not The Amazing Race for once. I already mentioned him. It's the King of Canada. Colin, welcome back to the show.
I'm glad to be here. With or without Ben?
Well, preferably without, but we'll take it as it comes. The king of, well, the former king of Sandy Bay. I'm not quite sure if he's west, south, northeast at the moment, but Paul, welcome back to Oztopsy episode 3.
Yep, I'm now the king of South Hobart. So yeah,
south. I knew it was west or south. One of those.
South. It's good. It's all good. Yeah, good to be back.
No more bikie gangs anymore now that you've moved house.
No, I'm a little bit higher up now. I'm in the second floor, so it's
they can't reach you there.
Yeah, a little bit off the road. So.
You've got to hide away from those bikies.
Yeah.
And of course, the king of emus, Jared Lubeck. Welcome back to the Oztopsy.
Thank you. I've got my loyal subjects not inside the house, but hopefully outside somewhere.
Hopefully we get, with his llama, hopefully we get an emu from, like, Wakin this season or something.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how an emu sounds, but we'll roll with it. So let's jump in.
There's definitely crossover there. So when you said emus and whatever protecting you, they're your minions, I just thought, dude, where's my car? And the whole time he's calling those ostriches llamas. So there's a bit of... Come on, there's a bit of crossover there.
Bit of an outdated reference, Paul. But
dude, come on. I just saw it last week, mate.
I'm sure Go played it 100 times last year.
They do.
We love you, Go. Yeah, let's jump straight into the episode. I'm going to be the negative Nancy this week because I have to say I wasn't too impressed with this episode, and I tweeted out today that no shame in saying this, I think the first 3 episodes of Sam Wandel Sir had me hooked more than this season, so you can curse me all you want, and Cagayan and Philippines. Bit too much hype for this season, I'm feeling, and I'm a little bit disappointed. Not to say I don't enjoy it, but this episode a bit of a letdown. Paul, did you like this one?
Yeah, I have to agree with you here. I think this third episode was pretty poor. It was really uneventful. It was really just continuing on with Nina is annoying and whiny, and they just dragged that out. And now Vince is gone. There was just that wild card, that kind of spark there. I'm wanting the loss of Vince, so...
Yeah, I wasn't here last week's Oztopsy, but I have to say Vince definitely grew on me, and I was very upset that he was voted out last week. That was upsetting. But this episode, it was like, I love a good fight here and there, but this was just fights everywhere. Everyone was whining and bitching. Colin, what did you think of episode 3?
I'll kind of agree and disagree. I actually really loved the first 2 episodes. I think I loved them more than most people did. But there are things about this week that worked similar to the first two episodes. I do think it's interesting to see how these people are relating to each other or not relating to each other differently than when you just mix all these different social classes up. I like seeing how, the blue collars will argue with each other. I like seeing how the no collars will argue with each other as opposed to when they're combined. But I will agree, it was way too much fighting this week, or to quote Vesepia, too much drama in Worlds Apart. It was kind of just a negative episode. And I think maybe, the first 6 days or whatever, everybody was gelling more than we normally see in Survivor, and this was just, maybe the 7-day mark is where people just lost it. So I think the biggest letdown of the episode is I feel like this could have been great had we seen the white collars or blue collars go to tribal council. There were some interesting setups there that would have created some drama, but this was such an easy vote, I feel, for the no collars. It was pretty much boring as soon as the immunity challenge was over.
Well, not even the immunity challenge. As soon as it started, because we knew we'll get to the challenge, but we knew which two tribes were winning pretty much from the get-go. It was just, and yeah, as you said, the boot, and it was just this whole episode. Jared, did you like the episode?
I didn't mind it, actually. We got to see plenty of sort of each of the camps. Like, I think we went to sort of each group at least 2 times, which was sort of better than I feel like last saw White Collar maybe once, and that was it for the whole episode. So I enjoyed that aspect. And the fact that Kelly got a confessional was great.
Yeah.
But
it's Purple Sierra now. Kelly's back in it.
Yeah. After the challenge, it sort of really sort of wound down. The challenge was almost 40 minutes into the episode. It felt like it was way towards the end, and then it just went so quickly. And then, I think if Tribal Council had gone differently, it would probably have bumped the episode up. But I think, as you guys have said, it was quite predictable.
I was just thinking, if Blue Collar lost this challenge, I think this would have been a great episode, having one member from each tribe gone, and Blue Collar just bursting to go to Tribal Council. That would have made it for me, and maybe we'll jump into a bit of that later. But going through the episode as a whole, we started off Nina and the tribe saying, "Oh, I'm going home next, I'm deaf. By the way, did you know I'm deaf?" I don't blame her because Will turned on her, but Paul, what did you think of Nina's reaction to Tribal Council?
Yeah, it was all too little too late. I thought that thing at the end where she was kind of, they almost came to a resolution, and she was saying, I'm ready to start acting like a no-collar. Well, yeah, a bit too little too late, I think there. It was really, really cheesy in that bit. But getting back to the blue collar anyway, I think that the honeymoon's definitely over there, and we're even seeing Rodney start to lose his patience, and he seemed like he was super patient in the first couple of episodes.
Well, next week's going to be a fun one for Rodney, I think.
Yeah, but that would have been, I agree with you, it would have been perfect to see them go to Tribal Council. They are dying for it, I think, and I want to see the dynamics of that play out, because I'm not sure if it's quite the way that it's being portrayed, and I want to see what the actual structure or what the actual alliances are like on that tribe.
Yeah, well, I'm completely lost with the blue collar now. I thought I had a bit of an idea, but that's just a crazy tribe. We might as well talk about the blue collar a bit. Colin, what is going on with the blue collar tribe? It just seems like this person, episode 1, they said Mike was the glue that held the tribe together, and then Rodney was in the alliance, but now people are fighting with him. Sierra's not talking. Kelly got one confessional. Dan with his manties. What's going on?
I think this is just, again, classic Survivor, when a tribe, most of the time, this is what happens. You do get the odd exception, but most of the time, when a tribe doesn't get that chance to go to Tribal Council, they just explode at one point. And I think it is kind of amplified by the fact that these are all slightly similar people. Even Lindsay was saying, blue-collar people, we tend to, judge other people's work more and judge other people's work ethic, because that's kind of what they're based on. And I think they just reached a point where I think, Paul, you were saying the honeymoon's kind of over, and it's just everybody's just exploding at this point. I don't think it's necessarily going to stay this way, though. A lot of these people seem like they probably can just kind of get over it, just sort of forgive and forget. But this was just one day too long without being able to go to tribal council, and if they don't go soon, they're probably going to decimate like a Sukjai.
Yeah, well, it's a good point you brought up, because my mind immediately goes back to Tandang, who were a bit like that. They didn't go, and we had Abby, RC, Lisa's Survivor Breakdown, and Mike's going mental. So, yeah, maybe it's not so healthy for a tribe to constantly win, and it's kind of like, just as we thought Dan was going home next, suddenly everything could be shifted. But, Jared, thoughts on the blue collar? Do you think, and who do you think will go home if they go to tribal council next?
It's tough to say. I kind of agree sort of with what's all been said. I think just the fact that they haven't gone to tribal council, there's no security amongst that tribe. Sort of everybody's still trying to jostle for position, and they're not, they can't really be sure of their alliances, which I think sort of plagues on their mind. As for if they were to go, who would go home? I don't know. I think it's really a toss-up just depending on the day. I feel like they'll be sort of very impulsive on who's getting on people's nerves at that point in time is going to be on the chopping block.
Well, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but my initial impression was Rodney, Sierra, Lindsay, Kelly alliance, and I'm not sure if I just made that up out of my ass, but it's really difficult to get a perception. Is Mike in it at all, or is he completely out? Paul, do you have anything to add on that?
It's strange. I definitely think that Lindsay and Sierra are definitely together.
Yeah, they're a duo. You can just see it when
definitely, and I think that they probably have an alright relationship with Kelly, even though we don't really see it because she's just an invisible person walking around there. And then I think that Rodney has some kind of, but I don't know if they trust him even. I think that it's strange the way that he's being portrayed, because he seems like he's a firecracker. But, yeah, we haven't seen anyone other than Mike really say anything bad about him. And then I feel like they're making an effort with Mike, which is strange, because if someone was completely on the outs, you wouldn't be making any kind of effort, even though they're having arguments with him. And then there's Dan, who I think is probably the most likely one on the outs.
Well, that's what confuses me that you just brought up, is because I would make the argument for Lindsay, Sierra, and Kelly being the three safest members of the tribe, yet Dan, Mike, and Rodney are by far getting the most effort in the edit put into them. Like, Mike's this guy, he's this religious guy, and he's the glue. Dan's got the comedy stuff, and Rodney, Cool Calm Collective, which I love. But Rodney's 3 C's are pretty much the same word said differently, Cool Calm Collective. But that's Rodney for you. Yeah, we've been talking a bit about the blue collar, but Colin, do you have anything to add in terms of alliances or what's going on and how you think it will turn out for them? Obviously, we've got a tribe shift coming soon, but we've got a bit more time for the 3 tribes, I think.
I think one of the things that I really am enjoying about the season is that the alliances are unpredictable. I mean, you could even see on the no-caller tribe, we'll get to it later, but the way that the vote split up, I mean, it's really starting to show that even though we might think as viewers that there's these alliances that are really strong, that people are just sort of making up as they go along. And I do agree. I think that the three on the blue collar tribe would be the girls. They're the ones who are strong. They're staying out of the drama. But as of next week, it looks like Lindsay could be, the one that everybody's losing it on. And it could be interesting to see how it plays out when they do go to tribal council, because as we've seen, the white collars, they play this game very differently than the way the no collars do. And when the blue collars go, it could just be everything's forgiven. And I wouldn't even put it past, a guy like Rodney or Mike to just say, well, let's put our differences aside and let's just, play this game together because we need to.
I find Lindsay, as you brought up, an interesting character because, you go back to that quote she said on day one. She said, someone from this mat is going to win the game. and she seems to be getting more and more of an edit as we go along. I think she's one of the few alternative girls that will actually make it to the merge. But she's a bit abrasive, but I have good feelings. Jared, what are your thoughts on Lindsay?
It's tough to say. I kind of just think shown is not that likable, and I kind of get that that's maybe her personality, and they're sort of just trying to show her as somebody who's going to speak their mind. But I think sort of even from early on, like the scenes with Dan, and then kind of this episode with Mike, she doesn't come across as too likable, and I just don't think if she is going to go super far that she'd be being portrayed that way.
Plus, no one respectable would have a face tattoo, as Rodney says next week, which I'm so looking forward to getting to. We'll come back to the blue collar a bit later, but let's shift to the white for a bit. There's one scene. Look, I'm going to be the bad guy here because I know she has the biggest fan base in this season, but I am not on the Shireen bandwagon at all. Like, I appreciate she's a fan of the show, but I brought this up to Colin and Jared and some of the other people off air earlier this week, and it's just Shireen and Max. People are pining to have fans on the show. Get fans. But then when we do, we get stuff which is just obvious buying for screen time with the naked stuff. Like, it's just so forced and not natural that maybe it's not always good to have super fans on the show. But we've got to talk about monkeys and giant balls and monkeys doing it. It was kind of a funny moment, but it was just so absurd. And yeah, I can't say I'm a fan of Shireen. Jared, the monkey business.
Oh, that whole thing was just weird. I just don't get Shireen's strategy at all. I mean, she's doing a great job of just kind of alienating everybody on her tribe who kind of was with her, but she just is putting them on side by making everybody kind of feel awkward. And I don't know, like, if maybe that's just how she is, or if she's trying to do something by that, but it's just nothing's working in her favor with how she's acting around camp.
Yeah, it's hard to get a full dynamic, but at this point, I feel like Max is her only ally left fully in the game. It's just, I can't tell if she's really like this or if she's just trying to get screen time. And are we seeing this because it's a kooky girl and this is what they're going to show in the reel when she wins the game? Or are we seeing this because she has zero chance of winning Paul, Shireen, and monkeys?
Yeah, it was strange. It was very strange. I felt like she was trying a bit too hard to, I don't know, entertain people. But it felt like the way they were setting it up was that it's going to drive a wedge between her and other members of a tribe like Tyler and definitely Joaquin, but people are going to get fed up with her. I think that Tyler I felt like it was positioning it that he was moving away from Shireen and closer to Joaquin. And yeah, it was odd. And going back to the whole naked thing, I didn't quite understand that. I thought that any chance you give other people to distinguish themselves from you or separate themselves from you and then bond with
you.
And then bond with other people in talking about you is a very bad thing. So to me, that was a real faux pas on both Max's part and Shireen's.
Well, speaking of Max, or rather not speaking of Max, zero confessionals from Max, which is kind of amusing, considering he was probably expecting a lot more at this point. Colin, monkey's doing it, and Shireen.
Well, I do find Shireen to be kind of entertaining. I don't know if it's that. I think there definitely are moments where she is playing to the cameras, but at the same time, I mean, that's what Coach did. That's what Philip Shepard did. And that's what Cochran did. And a lot of those people did end up going further. What I think is going to be harder to tell is whether this will work for her or against her. Is it better to make yourself the oddball, on a small tribe where there's not a lot of room as far as, well, who are you going to align with? Because somebody does have to go, or does that actually work in her favor? Because yeah, she's unusual, yeah, she's annoying, but she's not as untrustworthy at this point as Joaquin is.
Well, yeah, Paul, and then you just brought up Joaquin, which I find is a very interesting character. He's kind of like Vince. I started off hating him, but he's kind of growing on me. I'm kind of starting to like Joaquin. Colin, do you think there's any hope for Joaquin? I feel like he's slowly building himself back up, and I loved it when he said to Shireen, well, no, because I don't trust you, so I'm going to keep looking. Not sure if that was the best thing to say, but it was entertaining. And then sharing the idol with Tyler, so I feel like Joaquin could be getting back on his feet. What do you think, Colin?
I think that the only way that he redeems himself is if the white collars win every single challenge and they go in and they have numbers at wherever it is, if it's a merge or a tribe switch. I think that definitely did help him a little bit, what we saw with sharing the clue with Tyler, but at the same time, Tyler doesn't need him beyond that. It shows that he's a little bit more trustworthy, but again, if I'm Tyler and I'm looking at Shireen, who's annoying but hasn't really given him any reason to distrust her, and Joaquin, who completely ostracized himself in the first episode, I would probably have to go with Shireen. I do agree, like, what he said, it was entertaining, but the first thing I thought of when he said, oh, well, you're basically implying that Shireen's going to be gone, it was probably a dumb thing to say. I mean, he's giving her reason to scramble, and he doesn't really have, from what we see, he doesn't really have the allies to back a statement like that up.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. Paul, I know you love Joaquin.
Joaquin, it's not the greatest player. I don't think advertising a strategy the way that he did was probably not the best move, but he was right. I mean, of course he should be looking for the idol. And of course, Shireen and the others, if they don't think they're on the bottom, then of course it's going to serve them to have a truce and no one look for the idol, because they're not the ones going in. It's Joaquin who's on the bottom, and he's the one that needs to look for the idol. So yeah, he was in the right position to be looking for it. I just don't think he handled it very well, but I can see him growing as a player a little bit, but yeah, I don't think he fully understands the concept just yet.
I feel like Joaquin becomes very valuable at a tribe switch. I think that could be his saving grace. Jared, do you like Joaquin, and do you think he has any shot at this point, or is he out of it completely?
I do like him, actually. My perceptions have changed kind of a fair bit in the last couple of episodes. I think he has an okay shot. I think the sharing the clue with Tyler was kind of vital, particularly sort of with Shireen potentially moving to the sort of the fringes of the tribe. I think that Tyler is going to campaign to try and keep Joaquin around. And I think the further it heads, he's going to be a useful player to even just have as a shield, like later in the game. If he makes it to the merge, then some of the other guys will definitely want somebody like him around just to sort of take a bit of the target off their back when it comes to terms of the individual challenges.
I know it all comes down to editing, but was I the only one screaming my head off with Carolyn going, you should be out looking for the idol too, Carolyn, because it becomes a bit obvious if you're just sitting back in camp. Was I the only one thinking that?
I don't think you were. I was thinking that as well. It's completely ridiculous. Why would you pretend? Why would you be comfortable? And why would you... No one in that position who doesn't have the idol is going to pretend that they don't have it. I just didn't understand the logic behind it. If you don't have the idol... We saw Tyson do it in Blood vs. Water, even though he had the idol. He went and he led basically expeditions where they were basically tracking people to make sure that they didn't find the idol, which he had. So yeah, I think that she needs to take a leaf out of his book and maybe pick up the game a little bit.
I love me some Carolyn, but I wasn't too happy with that. Go.
I actually have to disagree. I mean, there probably are scenes, I mean, we're all speculating, but there probably are scenes where she's going out and looking for it that just aren't shown on air. I found it way more unusual that for maybe the first time ever, we have three people who are maybe some loosely aligned, some not aligned at all, and you have three people all looking for the idol together. They weren't even spread out. That's what was unusual to me. So if Carolyn is out there looking, I think it would probably play in her favor more to pretend like she's looking for it on her own or maybe with one person. But when you have half the tribe and they're looking for it together, that's what struck me as unusual.
Yeah, it comes very confusing with the whole who's aligned of that, because it was Shireen, Max, and Joaquin looking for the idol, and then we had Tyler in there, so it really is confusing. But Tyler is the one. I'm been super impressed with Tyler. We completely dismissed him in the cast preview episode. I think he's been great, and he was doing the Tyson because he knows where the idol is, but he was out looking for the idol, and he's got an alliance with everyone, and Joaquin's sharing him the idol clue. Carolyn's sharing the idol with him. Everyone wants to be with Tyler. I think Tyler is probably the best player in the game at this moment. Jared, agree, disagree?
Yeah, I'd agree. He's my favourite player on that tribe by quite a margin, so I think he's doing everything right at this point in time. He just sort of has to be careful he doesn't sort of get caught playing all sides.
Do you think Tyler is a good player, Colin?
Tyler is actually a really good player, and it's surprising because it's not that his game is similar in any way, but I'm finding it similar the way people are responding to him, the way people responded to Aris in Panama. And that this guy should be your first target. You should be really nervous about him, and yet everybody's okay with him, and everybody's coming to him. And I think that shows that he's setting himself up in a good position. It's very similar even to Brian Heidick in Thailand. Like, this guy should be your target, so why is everybody so tight with him? I think that just shows that he's playing a really good social game, but also a very good strategic game, because these people aren't just coming to him with their problem saying, oh, I don't get along with this person. They're coming in with their strategy. So he's in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, obviously we have a switch looming, but say White Collar go to Tribal Council 1-2 more times, Tyler isn't the one going home. And if he wins this game, I won't be shocked at all. Paul, I know you have some insight into Tyler.
Yeah, I like the way in which he's kind of subtly usurped the centre position in that tribe. But it seemed like in the first episode, Max was the centre of the tribe. People were coming to him, and Shireen coming to him, and then I think even So tried to make a bit of a bid for him. But then gradually, Tyler has kind of put himself in that position. Everyone's coming to him now, and he's playing it well. He's playing it very well. I don't think anyone else is really aware of where he actually sits within that tribe. And he hasn't let anything go. He hasn't told things that he shouldn't have. So yeah, I think that he's playing a really, really good game at the moment. Definitely the best game so far on the White Collar tribe, possibly in the game. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like if they say, like, it's a tribe swap, I know I keep bringing it up, but it is coming probably next week, is that I feel like Max is immediately a bigger, like, obvious threat that people are going to be wanting out. So if it's like Shireen, Max, and Tyler on the tribe, I feel like Tyler has always got that shield, and Joaquin is another shield for him. So I think Tyler's going to be around for a long time, at least into the merge. Let's shift back a bit to the blue collar, because there was still a bit we didn't touch on with that fighting. Did they call Rodney's mum a whore?
Yeah.
Did I hear that right? Did he really say that?
He did. And it was completely out of nowhere. It was like he's trying to be hip and whatever and talk to him in the lingo that his bras would. But he just took it way too far. And he just seemed to not understand Rodney at all. Yeah.
Dan is so that person who takes it too far, doesn't understand the joke and thinks he's going along with it. But it was just, they were talking about sleep, and then he said, well, yeah, and your mother's a whore.
He's just been watching way too much Sopranos or something.
I want to like Dan, but he's making it so hard for me to like him. Colin, what do you think of Dan 3 episodes in? And does he have any shot, like even 0.1% of winning Survivor Worlds apart?
Dan is... The way that we're seeing Dan portrayed on screen would be like if when Cochran played in South Pacific, if he were maybe 20 years older. It's the exact same thing. He's he's funny, but he also
Cochrane in Papa Bear's.
Yeah, exactly. The physique of Papa Bear. But it's the same thing. I mean, he's rubbing people the wrong way, but he's also entertaining enough they want to keep him around. I think he definitely has a shot to go maybe as far as somebody like Tarzan did in One World, where he's there till maybe 6th, 7th place and then he's out. But I don't see that he's even playing a strategic game at this point. I do think he's playing better than the people on the island think that he's playing. I think that he's recovered, and some of it is calculated, some of it's just winging it. But I actually find him kind of entertaining to watch in a morbid way. And like look at that car crash, you have to look as you drive past it. But it's morbidly entertaining to watch him sort of fall on his face every week.
I don't know if Your Mother's a Whore is going to go down in Survivor legendary quotes.
Well, I thought you were asking
I'm not sure
me.
if it'll be in Survivor's intro 3.
The way you said that, I thought you were asking me about like my mother.
Well, to be honest, Colin, I don't actually know if your mother is a whore or not. But we'll leave that one.
Well, just one more thing on that. Is it?
I feel like Dan.
Yeah, go, Colin. And then
I was just going to say, it really does come down to how you can deal with that, because I've known people who will say things like that, and, you know, I won't care whatever somebody says to me, you know, whether it's true or not. I don't care what anybody says. But I know people who are okay with saying stuff like that, and I know people who wouldn't say stuff like that. And it really just does come down to what you're saying, that some people will take it and they'll be okay with it, some won't. And I think that shows where Dan's flaw is that he's not really smart enough to be able to read these people and how they're going to respond to him.
I feel like if I was to play Survivor, I would probably be like Dan and say something that I think is sarcastic and I know is not meant to be serious, and then end up me being voted out. But Paul, were you going to say something about Dan?
Oh, just to follow on from that, though, I think that's part of Survivor, though, is to be conservative a little bit. I mean, there's nothing to gain from saying things like that, but there's so much to lose. So it's about speaking strategically, even when you're just having conversations. But yeah, I feel like Dan is being portrayed the way that Rupert would have been portrayed if Burton and Sean had have edited Pearl Island. So
I love these descriptions of what Dan. Do you think we can put any bad word on Rodney that he reacted to that, or this is all Dan's fault? We can't fault Rodney for that.
Well, Rodney...
Oh, sorry, what was that?
No, go, Colin.
Rodney didn't really... It was off camera that he really showed that he was offended. He responded really well to it when Dan said it, which was surprising considering how much he blew up later on with what Mike was accusing him of, which was pretty tame. I think that kind of just shows again how the blue collars are, is that they won't really take offense to something personal that somebody says. Even though Rodney was kind of offended by it, he just sort of let it roll off of him. But if you question somebody's work ethic, that's when they lose it. So it was kind of like bipolar Rodney this week.
He's a hard-working American. That turned a bit Texan there. Jared, are you a fan of Dan at all? And, well, I'm not going to ask if your mother is a whore, but what did you think of that comment?
Dan isn't one of my favourites, but I don't particularly like anybody on the blue collar tribe. Maybe Rodney a little bit.
I'm Team Rod. Love Rodney.
That comment was just kind of left field. It came from nowhere, and it's just such it's like confessional where he's like, he said something about like, oh, what I say, it's my worst asset, but it's also my best asset in this game. Like, no, it's just the worst thing about you. Stop. But the funny thing is, I kind of feel like on blue collared tribe he actually has a chance of staying. I think any other tribe he'd probably be out first, but I think just the way that tribe is going to fall apart, there's a chance for Dan to sort of stick around.
Yeah, well, I would immediately say after the last 2 weeks he'd be the first one out. But after this week, anything could happen. Let's talk about Mike v. Rodney, which it had its entertaining moments, but I think it was more just painful to watch than it was entertaining in the terms of reality TV fighting. I did love Lindsay's comment, which was, I would say, inappropriate, but it was just like completely jab at his religion when she said, all right, did magic start this? Did your god come down and start this with his beard? So I thought it was humorous, but I thought it was bad for Lindsay to say that, and it feels like every single player on this tribe, except for Kelly, is just getting worse and worse as we go along. And talk about Mike v. Rodney and that whole 20-minute scene. Colin.
Well, first of all, the comment probably was just as offensive as what Dan had said to Rodney. The difference was, I think, when Dan was saying it, he was kind of just joking around, and they were on good terms, and she was definitely saying it to get to him. It was a little bit odd too, because I don't know where the beard part came in. Like, is that something that's common? Like, are there religions out there where there are magical beard powers or something? I think it kind of just showed she was really just coming up with it off the top of her head and really wasn't really conscious of what she was saying.
Yeah. Well, that's what made it funny for me, the beard. Yeah. Otherwise, it would just be insanely offensive.
I will strike you down
but
with
the beard thing was just so random.
I'll strike you down with a bolt of lightning from my beard? Like, what? But the interesting thing that I find was that Rodney and Lindsay are the two who really got offended at Mike questioning the work ethic. I think Rodney might just be a bit of a hothead. The funny thing is, we can't really see on screen who was right and who was wrong, because both sides presented an argument, and we weren't shown, well, this tribe is not working. We also weren't shown this tribe is working. We did see them lying down. It could just be something where Mike is, maybe was nitpicking for one day, maybe he was in a bad mood. I'm starting to think, though, that Lindsay is going to self-destruct at some point. I think that you can go back to the first episode. There was another quote that I think has kind of been forgotten, which was the quote she had about herself just as they were introducing the players before the credits even rolled, where she said something like, there was no one on earth who is as strong as me. Like, in her mind, she thinks that she's the strongest person on earth. So I can understand if somebody's questioning her work ethic, she's going to blow up. But at the same time, if she believes she's the strongest human being on earth, her lying down and doing nothing, I mean, it could very well have been happening.
Yeah, I find that kind of hilarious as well, because in her bio, she said something about friends having to carry a snack, gets hungry. So, yeah, I feel like she said something about she gets cranky and passes out or something like that if she doesn't have her snacks. Doesn't sound very strong to me. It sounds like someone who's got a lot of endurance.
She needs her spinach.
I'm strong as long as I've got a muesli bar. I can definitely see your point. I feel like she's kind of brewing up and really starting to show her colours. But I have to say, I was pretty satisfied hearing her comment. Anytime someone has a jab at religion, I always enjoy it. But
evil. So
it's not evil.
I loved Rodney slamming the wood and making faces at Mike and that. But Paul, who won in the end of this fight, Mike or everyone else?
Oh, everyone else, obviously. If you're 5-1, then the 5's going to win, aren't they? Because it's a numbers game. So it just depends if it is. It just depends if the dynamics are exactly how they're being portrayed. If Mike is in fact on the outs, or it's just the editors trying to play around with it a little bit, because we haven't said anyone set anything in stone yet, and they may well have. I'm thinking it's day 9 or whatever. I'm thinking people would have, but they haven't shown it. So it's strange to see that.
I'm hoping Blue Collar go tribal next week, just so we can get a clearer view. Jared, Mike v. Rodney, did you enjoy this, or was this just too much, do you think? And how do you think this will affect the dynamics in the future for Blue Collar?
I think it was a bit too much. Like, I got a bit sick of it by the end. Like, the only fact we go to Blue Collar is just to see Mike and Rodney arguing over who's doing what around camp, and then Lindsay sort of gets involved, and then it just blows up into something else entirely. I think Mike definitely came off worse to the rest of the tribe, but it kind of almost feels like he came off okay to the viewers, if that makes sense. I think sort of Lindsay came off like terrible to the audience. I think even Rodney kind of just his spat of throwing the wood, and just even them showing him like he goes to bed like the earliest and then wakes up the latest and whatnot. But I think really Dan is the one who gained the most from all of this fighting, because he was clearly last, it would seem, on the pecking order, and just all this has kind of stirred that up.
I feel like, yeah, I see what you're saying about the Rodney thing, but at the same time we got the 3 Cs, and I'm not sure if they showed it on Go, but that was a hashtag on the CBS version, hashtag 3 Cs. And the cool, calm, collected, like, I got good vibes from Rodney when he said that, like, all right, so we're seeing that Rodney can tone it down when he needs to. So I can see what he's saying about Lindsay, but I feel like Rodney didn't come too badly out of it. But Lindsay was totally using techniques I used with my brothers when I used to fight with them back in the day. Name one time. One time. Just say one time. That's totally a me argument technique. So I was glad to see that. Anything to add on Blue Collar for the rest of this episode / the fight at all before we move on?
I think that one of the problems, and this is where I think that they really probably needed to go to Tribal Council at some point, they could very well enter a merge or enter, a tribe switch and have all of them there. I think in a situation like that, you need everybody to be loyal. These aren't big enough tribes where they're going to go in and be able to just have the majority. There's still only 6 people. And the problem is, I think, with Mike probably hasn't handled things the best way. Dan hasn't handled things the best way. Lindsay and Rodney haven't handled things the best way. I don't really see these people gelling, and if they were to go into a merge, let's say, and they need to have a majority, well, I don't think at this point that Mike is going to want to side with these people. I think that's where they probably handled it the wrong way with Mike.
Yeah, which Mike is receiving a bit of an edit, so maybe, and this is pure speculation, but maybe there's a tribe swap and he ends up with Joe or something, Joe-Mike alliance or something like that. But yeah, I really feel like next week is a 2-hour double episode. I feel like part 1 will be 3 tribes, part 2 will be the merging of the 2 tribes. That's normally when they do it around 5th episode or so, which I wish they wouldn't, but they're going to do it. I think we all know that. So let's talk about this challenge. Was this the most boring, well, I guess it wasn't boring because we had a talking point from it, but was this one of the worst challenges we've seen in Survivor history? It was literally grab some water and put it into the other bucket. Like, we've seen variations of this in the past, but they've been much more interesting. This was just the worst. This was so boring. It was just grab water. Obviously, the talking point is Joe, who is... he's quite high in the power rankings, but he must be one of the most idiotic people ever. Telling Nina to sit out of the challenge. Is that a first that we're seeing someone force someone to sit out when they didn't have to? The challenge is about having as many holes plugged as you can possibly have, and he's making sure that they're disadvantaged because he doesn't want to work with Nina. Paul, what was your take on this challenge, and is Joe a moron?
A little bit, yeah. I think that you can justify it. You can say that, yeah, she's going to slow them down, and she's probably going to be grabbing onto it, the thing, trying to keep up. Similar to, I don't know, throwback to season 1 with Sonia Christopher falling over and pulling the whole thing down in the first challenge. There we go. Let's make sure we have many more, because it's always good to have a Sonya reference in there. But yeah, I can see where it's coming from, but yeah, it didn't pan that way. I think that you needed to have those holes plugged no matter what, and it wasn't really about getting back there as quickly as possible. It was more about getting as much water back there as quickly as possible. So yeah, there was definitely that, but I don't know, I feel like they just had no trust in Nina at all. She'd shown to be just really lacking any kind of enthusiasm or anything. So I can see why they didn't really want to have her as part of the challenge, because she just would have been she's just seen as a drain on the tribe.
Jeff was really hating on them. No collar doing this and it's not working. What are you doing, no collar?
It almost felt like the whole thing was set up to really kind of expose that weakness that they had in that tribe, was that they're lacking a strong guy. And that challenge was, you needed strong people to carry that thing, and you needed a strong tribe.
Needed Vince.
Yes.
Jared, did you like the challenge, the whole bucket thing, and then obviously the whole Nina situation?
No, I thought the challenge was quite boring. I think it only took them sort of 4 trips to do it, and I think that the move with Nina was stupid, but even if she was, it wouldn't make a difference just because No Collar was slow anyway. I mean, Will was dying again in the challenge, and they wouldn't have got enough trips in to fill it up anyway, I don't think. So, I mean, Joe can feel bad, but it wouldn't have made a difference whatsoever, I don't think, if Nina was there helping. But this challenge just needed something else in it. I don't know what. I hate to see, another puzzle at the end, but it just needed something different in it. Just even if the obstacles were a bit more difficult, so they were spilling more water. I mean, everybody seemed to sort of cope with it fine. There was no time that somebody fell over and sort of the bucket went everywhere. So it just seemed sort of too simple in that the teams that got ahead early, there was kind of no way for them to fall back behind.
And there was no suspense. It was Jeff was trying to build it up. He's like, white collar, blue collar, they're so close, but we don't care which team comes first. That's not the dramatic moment we're looking for. Oh no, white collar came second. Damn.
They don't get the pillows. Damn it! Why did they try to have the pillows?
That's not the drama we're looking for, Jeff. To quote Obi-Wan Kenobi, Collar, this challenge.
I was kind of optimistic about the challenge when they started it because it sounded like an interesting idea. I think the reason this challenge didn't work was because there was no way to film it. The problem is all the holes in these buckets are on the bottom, and you have to have every person surrounding the bucket in order to move, which meant if you watch the challenge, you can't see the water draining. So you're relying completely on Jeff's commentary, but yet Jeff can't see how much water's in the bucket. So there was a moment where they fill it up. There was a really confusing thing that I think it might have been Dan, where he kept dunking his head and his buff underneath this thing as they were filling it up. Did anybody else see that?
Didn't pick up on
it. It was either Dan or Mike. One of them, they kept dunking their head and their buff underneath it every single time. And I thought, are they going to do this to drain the water out? But they never did that at the end. So there was a whole bunch of odd moments in this. With Joe's strategy,
they should have.
I was just saying, with Joe's strategy, I do think that it was worth a try, because when he explained it, it did kind of make sense. Have somebody in the end who maybe you're not going to slow yourself down, but at the end you can plug some holes right before you dump it. But the problem is that when it didn't work the first time, why try it a second time? They made no adjustments to this as they went along. That's where they failed.
But is it better than the alphabet strategy?
Veto. I'm trying to see what you say, but to me, a challenge where the aim is to have as many holes plugged, depriving yourself of 2 extra hands, I just can't see the benefit. Like we were saying with Dan's whore comment, and I'm glad that's something we can say, that Dan had a whore comment. Thanks for that, Dan. But like with that comment, there are just so many worse things of having Nina sit out than there were of her contributing. So, I was yelling at the TV at that point. But I guess that probably the most boring challenge in Survivor history. But I think we talked a lot about the other tribes. We haven't really mentioned too much of No Collar. I'm really not a fan of the No Collar tribe. I want to see the other 2 tribes. This is my least favourite tribe, and I just found I was very upset when they lost the challenge because it was just so obvious who was going to be going home. They tried to disguise it. They did a poor job. Paul, talk a bit about No Collar as a whole from this episode, plus not to forget the whole lizard situation and the surfing, which Still don't know why we needed to watch the surfing. Bring back the naked girls, I say, but yeah, no collar this episode.
Yeah, they're just so wishy-washy. They don't know what they're doing. I think that Will basically last week screwed up any chance that tribe has of going far. Yeah, I don't understand any reasoning behind it. I want to vote for Will because I don't trust him because he voted for someone who he said who he didn't say he was going to vote for, and then she does the exact same thing to the other members and votes for him, not telling them. It's ridiculous. Yeah, they don't seem to know what they're doing. I don't think that they fully have any idea. They're very egocentric, I think, and they don't really understand the way other people are going to interpret their actions. Yeah, what was your question?
Oh, well, I'm just thinking, do you think it has anything to do, like, obviously, Max and Shireen are big fans of the show. I know Dan's a big fan. Not to say Dan's a great player, but, like, I'm not sure how many of them are big fans of No Collar. For all I know, they all could be, but do you think that has anything to do with it? Do you think it's more people who, yeah, they're laid back, maybe they haven't watched as much of the show, or do you think it's just their personality?
Yeah, I think that plays a big part in it. I also feel like they're just basically privileged middle-class kids who just don't really understand. There's a comment from Jen who said something like, I don't know why people take this game so seriously and whatever. Because it's for $1 million. And $1 million makes a big difference in people's lives. You're not just out there for a whole... You're out there
especially people like Hayley. She's like a law student or something.
Yeah, and she said something about, she was like, surfing is my number 3 passion or whatever. That just seemed like,
good endorsement.
I'm just trying to be cool or something. It was ridiculous. They weren't surfing anyway. They were bodyboarding. Get over yourself. Come on.
I don't think there's ever been a tribe where I've disliked every single member of the tribe, except for I liked Vince, but like I liked Will last week, and then this week I couldn't stand Will. Nina, too wishy-washy. Jen, I loved in the first episode. I really off Jen. She's starting to annoy me. Hayley, I've never been a fan, and Joe, she just keeps doing idiotic things. I don't like any of these players from what we're being shown. Jared, No Collar Tribe, and the obvious Nina boot.
Then they're not that interesting. It's just frustrating that you don't really get to see much gameplay from them, and that it just seems like that alliance of 3, well, I suppose kind of 4 with Will, seems to be pretty set in stone. And I kind of think that that's just a group that's going to stick together, and they're not going to want to sort of shift that around much, even sort of come switch or even later in the game. I kind of feel like that group is very tight and plans on sort of sticking together. That's not that likable or interesting, and the most annoying thing about them, which is the same with every tribe, but I cannot stand how often the term no collar is brought up all the time. This is a really no collar thing to do, blah, 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 and then no collar people go surfing. Nina's only been no collar since she was deaf, like blah, blah, blah. It's just really frustrating, like that this term
not even a real term.
And they just have to run with it.
Yeah.
I love that. Nina's only been no collar since she was deaf. Good.
I don't know. As for the boot, I was kind of sad to see Nina go, which is weird, but I don't know. I just wanted it to sort of be through the story of like how Tribal, where she was like, I can do this, I can be no collar, which doesn't exist. Yeah, I just would have liked for her to stick around and for Will to go, just because I think that would have been more interesting. And I think Nina could have been interesting come on the switch or the merge, because I just think she would have been really hard for them to sort of keep in line. I could have seen her just sort of going with whichever alliance.
Yeah, I could see her doing a Lil and just basically just letting her emotions lead her wherever the wind blows.
I'm kind of with you though, Jared. Like, as much as she frustrates me, I was kind of hoping Will would be voted out tonight and Nina would survive, because at least Nina is creating something in the show. Like, they're trying to show Will, but I feel like Will's only story is that he switched and then he sucks at challenges. And I know Nina's only story is she's deaf, but it could have been a real underdog comeback. But I guess we can look at it as we all knew this was coming, so at least we got it out of the way early. Like, there's no way she was ever making it to the end. So at least this is out of the way and we don't have to worry about when is Nina going to get booted. Colin, no collar on Nina?
Oh, I have a whole bunch of opinions on no collar. I'll try to keep it brief.
I'll go for it. Lay him on it.
Let's start with Joe. I'm still on board thinking that Joe could go really far in the game, but I think the most annoying thing that I ever hear in Survivor is when somebody comes back from a challenge and they say, I accept full responsibility. This was my mistake. I accept full responsibility. And then the vote is the responsibility. So I accept full responsibility. Now, which one of you guys should go? Like, I hate when people say that. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I'm sorry to butt in, but we didn't bring up with Mike. Mike is really idiotic, constantly saying, well, if you don't agree with me, vote me out. Like, it was like, what are you saying, Mike? Sorry, go ahead.
So I don't really think that Joe's coming across as much of a winner as he was before. But at the same time, I can find very few people on the season who are, which is one of the reasons this season is kind of interesting. Is that we're seeing a lot of flaws from everybody. I don't think I'd agree that I wanted Will to go. I definitely want Will to stay over Nina. You even said, Noah, it's like, what have we seen of Will's character? You know, he sucks at challenges and he flipped on a vote. I mean, that's at least 2 things in 3 episodes. So I think that's a pretty good average compared to some of the other people, even on the no-collar tribe. And Will has proven to be entertaining in the past. I think the fact that he flipped last week shows that he's going to be more willing to play the game than Nina. Nina, I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking about it. I don't know if I've ever seen a Survivor player who understands the game of Survivor less than Nina. I mean, last week she cost herself...
Drew Christie?
Maybe Christie. But she cost herself the vote last week. And I don't know how many times it got so repetitive and annoying this week where she would be almost understanding when people are saying, this has nothing to do with you being deaf. And then 5 minutes later, she's like, well, this is because I'm deaf, right? And then she'd even say, oh, well, I understand this isn't because I'm deaf. Maybe it's because I'm old. Oh, this is because I'm deaf. Oh, I understand. Maybe it's just because I'm more white.
Well, what did she say in Tribal Council? Because of my...
Yeah, like, it's just, she doesn't understand this game in the least. And I'm so glad that she's gone. I think that she was an interesting character, but she was a one-note character, and I don't want to hear anything more about, oh, I'm deaf, and deaf. It says on the screen that she's a hearing advocate. Like, what is that? Like, she's supposed to be out there, you know, helping people, or she's not helping her cause. She's making the case that if you lose your hearing, you're going to become whiny about it, and you're going to do nothing but blame people. Like,
you're going to become no
yeah, exactly. This makes
lose your hearing, you'll turn into something that doesn't exist.
And I'll also agree with what Jared said. I'm tired of hearing no collar as a term, because when they announced this season, white collar versus blue collar versus no collar, I burst out laughing for a good solid 30 seconds because the term no collar sounds so dumb to me. Stop using it already.
Yeah, I watched the finale with Ben and we're like, oh yeah, white collar, blue collar. What's the other one going to be? No collar?
What's no collar?
What? No collar? Yeah. Yeah, more on no collar? Oh, now I'm saying it.
The only other thing I'll say is the surfing scene, it was kind of pointless, but I think the reason for it being there was because everything else in the episode was so negative that it was nice to at least have one moment where it was something just kind of fun and showing that people on this tribe can have fun. And the lizard as well. I mean, we've seen a guy eat a scorpion, we've seen people eat lizards. It's kind of getting back to the basics of Survivor where there's some survival aspect, and I think that's a nice thing that's been added to the season.
I loved Haley's comment at Tribal Council, though. If you want to do good at this game, though, Nina, you've got to eat a lizard. Like, is that the key to winning Survivor?
Build a fire.
You have to eat a lizard?
Eat a lizard.
Like, come on, Nina, if you want to be a part of the tribe, you got to eat this lizard. Like, it seemed a bit off there. One thing this cast, there's really no one I'm loving, but not necessarily anyone I'm extremely hating. But one thing I have been impressed with is no one really is going out without a fight. Like, there's no Christine. So she fought to stay in the game, maybe not too well, but and then last week Vince he was blindsided, but he was fighting to stay in the game. And side note, a Vince Nina Will alliance would have been the most epic mess I've ever seen, and I would have loved that. And then this week, Nina, she at least fought. Like, I loved it. I was going, go Nina, when she just said, I think you should vote out Will. Like, I did not expect her to just come out with that bombshell. So I have been impressed with this. And then Carolyn as well, when she found out she was going home, she went out with a fight and it worked. So I've been very impressed in that regard. But Paul, I have to ask you, because I know that I remember from the pre-season podcast, is Joe still in the box seat as your winner pre-prediction?
I think it was a pretty good choice pre-season. So I still think he's
I still don't think it's an awful choice.
I think that history has shown that if you get a tight group in a season like this, in one in which we've got 3 tribes and whatever, you can do good things. The tribes that kind of stick together but kind of separated and don't get along, they fall apart when the merge comes. So I think that in the game so far, there's the tightest 3 people, Joe, Hayley and Jen. You can say that they're a definite 3 there together, even though Hayley didn't vote for who she said she was going to vote for. I still feel like they're together. So I don't think they're in that bad a position. It's whether or not they can just get through the next challenge and stay together. Even if they do lose Will, still feel like they'll be all right. Could do a lose on.
I feel like of the 3, sorry to butt in, Jen and Hayley are in a better position because I feel like those 2 are a tight core, and I feel like they're almost using Joe to an extent, and that we're really getting this idea that they're supposed to be the duo buddies, Amanda Parvati type thing. So I think they're probably doing better. Not that I can't see Joe winning. But on the Hayley Will vote, do you think this has anything to do with the extension from last week where they wanted to switch, halve the votes in case one of them had an idol? Do you think they thought that Will or Nina might have an idol, so they would just do that? Or do you think she really just went away from the pack?
I feel like she doesn't know the game and she just had a change of heart at Tribal Council. It's a strange thing to say, but that's just what it seemed like. It was almost like she decided, oh, yep, I actually I agree with what I'm saying, and just switched there, which is the stupidest thing ever because anything can happen from there. But yeah, I don't think they really were thinking about an idol. Yeah.
Jared, the Will Hayley vote?
I think she might have been considering an idol. I think they showed sort of Hayley and Jen talking about potentially voting for Will, so I kind of think she would have maybe run it past her tribe mates beforehand, and I think they kind of figured they had the votes secured, that it was okay to do that anyway.
Colin?
Well, first, I just want to comment. I think Paul brought up an interesting point that this tribe may not be as doomed as we think, because when you look at the other tribes, there's a lot of dissension there, and we're at least now down to 4 people who seem like they can work together. It's as strange as it seems, the 2 votes they've had so far have actually made sense as far as bringing the tribe together. But as far as the vote, it really makes no sense. I mean, the idea of splitting a vote comes down to the fact that you don't want to risk that, one of you can go home if, somebody does play an idol. They knew that Nina was voting for Will, and they knew Will was voting for Nina. One of them plays in the idol, the other one's gone. It really didn't benefit them in any way to try to split the vote. I think that we may very well have a scene next week where Hayley is legitimately confused, like the way that we saw Natalie play it last year or last season. Oh, I just voted for the wrong person. That was strategy. We may very well get a scene where Hayley just every single week votes for the wrong person because she just doesn't know what she's doing going in.
I feel like if No Collar lose again, is it even a question like, if next week they lose, Will's going home, like, do we even need to debate that fact, or is it going to be just like this week?
I think that...
Like, surely Will's going home.
Yeah,
I think so.
I would think that's the way everybody would vote, but I wouldn't put it past Will, because Will seems like he would fight really... I think he would fight harder than the other three if he was in jeopardy. Maybe he can find an idol, who knows. I wouldn't put it past him to find a way to get through the vote, but I don't really see the other three breaking the alliance they have.
I think we've pretty much covered most of the episode. Unless anyone has anything to add that we didn't cover, I think we've gone over everything.
I'm still waiting for the moment when Will kind of pops out of his disguise and it's Andrew's in front of us.
I'm confused about Will. I don't know if I love him or if I hate him or if what. But he does have some good lines, so I still love the last week. Well, we all know water is a black man's kryptonite. That was one of my favourite lines. Next week, we've got more fighting, hooray, with Rodney having a go at Lindsay because she has a face tattoo, which no respectable person would ever have a tattoo on their face, which I'm so excited to see. And what else did we have next week? I can't quite remember from the preview. I think that was mainly
Blindfold
it.
challenge.
Somebody gets injured in the challenge.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right, yes. I was meant to bring that up. And back, Paul.
Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Do you think we'll have a Medivac next week?
Don't think so. Someone said, she's bleeding or something. Typically, if you're bleeding, it's just a bit of an abrasion or something. You think that they'd be all right if it was something where they'd broken a bone or whatever, maybe, but I don't think it's going to be that.
It'd have to be a lot of blood for that to be a Medivac.
Yeah, or maybe that risks infection or something, but if they get onto it straight away, they might be all right.
Colin, is he going to...
I don't think there's going to be a Medivac. Sorry, no, continue.
Sorry, you cut out for a bit. Sorry for me. Colin, do you think there'll be a Medivac?
The only scenario I see a medevac is if Mike keeps eating things he shouldn't be eating.
Scorpion.
Yeah, Mike's a bit of a disaster, but I don't think that we're going to get a medevac this season. I think the way the preview's set up, it's probably going to end up being nothing. It'll be like, oh, let's get them to check you out. Okay, you're good to continue the challenge.
Wooing the tree.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Lindsay will be smited by God.
God's beard.
Yes. Set her on fire.
Or it might be a Missy situation as well. Maybe Austin, the kid, designed this next challenge. Jared, do you reckon there'll be a Medivac, or do you want there to be a Medivac? Mate, that's a stupid question. Who wants there to be a Medivac?
Well, I don't know, blue collar tribe.
Well, I wouldn't say no to a Medivac. I don't mind them.
I don't think there will be. I think that somebody probably just got hit in the face and their teeth are bleeding, or they got hit in the nose and their nose is bleeding, and they'll be fine after 5 seconds.
All right. Let's have a look at confession. I don't have our preseason picks because Ben didn't give them to me and I didn't ask Ben for them. So he'll have to fill us in next week. But I do know that Nina was in Ben's final three, so Ben sucks.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I had Nina well down my list, so I think I might be in with a shot here.
Well, I think I may have got the right Nina one as well, but we'll have to find out. I feel like I had
a second or third boot. I feel like I had.
Yeah, I had a second, third, but I can't quite remember which one it was, so I could be in for a point. But looking at confessionals for this week, that's another point I was going to bring up. Very well spread out. Obviously, we have our kind of lesser players, Kelly and Sierra, Haley, and we've got our more like prominent players like Carolyn. But other than that, the airtime has been really well distributed, I think, and that's one of the most positives of this season. But this episode, if this counts right, the official one, as Ben likes to call it, is enough. But Jen got 4 this week, Will 3, Nina 3, Haley 2, and Joe 4. Shireen got 2, Tyler 2, Carolyn 2, Joaquin 2, and Max 0 confessionals. Rodney 4, Mike 2, Dan 1, Kelly 1, hooray! Lindsay 3, and Sierra 0. And leading at the moment is Jen with 16, which I guess a bit of a shock preseason. I don't think we're expecting that, but I think Jen's in it for a while if this is anything to go off. Carolyn's second with 15, and next is 12, and then we've got Rodney 10, Will 10. So Will is third place, equal confessionals. He's really getting up there now. And the lowest is Sierra on the 1 total confessional. So
really?
Go Sierra.
I thought she got more. Someone said she had 4 or something last week, which I didn't see that. But I thought Kelly had Kelly was getting the raw end of the stick, which she still is. Every time I see Kelly on the screen, though, I just feel like she looks like a winner. She looks like, even though it's probably not going to happen now, but it just seems like she's portrayed as this kind of victorious person.
I'll take your word for that one. I think, Sierra has had the least, but I feel like we always see Sierra on screen. I don't know where Kelly's been. I swear she's never even there at any of the scenes at the Blue Collar.
Yeah,
she's just not even there.
Sierra's always standing next to Lindsay, who's running her mouth.
But then Kelly's just nowhere to be seen at all. She's never
just avoiding the drama.
Do you think that
she's pissed off?
Do you think that there might be some type of computer glitch in an upcoming episode, and we'll get for a few frames Brett standing in her place?
Yes, that would be so good. Riding her bike, wasn't she the one who wanted to bring a bike to the island? I think it was her. So she could be off with her bike. As I said, no rankings because Ben has them, but obviously he sucks because he said Nina was going to be 3rd or 2nd. Obviously that was never happening. So, final questions then. We got through this pretty well, made good time. Tip to win, is it Joe, Paul?
I want to stick with him, but I feel like it's slipping away.
He's a bit of a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with him. Just continue on with it. I'm going to be loyal until something really drastic happens where it's a massive shift. I'll stick with him.
Colin, tip to win?
Based on this episode, I'm going to say Tyler. I don't know how well he's going to hold, though.
Jared?
Tyler.
Dark horse, Jared.
Mike.
Mike? You think Mike has a shot of winning?
Who knows?
Colin, dark horse?
I'm going to go with Jen.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Cut out.
Dark horse.
Dark horse. Did you say?
Yep.
I'm gonna stick with it here, and I'm gonna go all out and say Kelly.
I feel like 10 weeks from now we will be laughing at you.
She's not going to win because I put her down as my winner pick, so it's not going to happen. Guaranteed.
You're totally screwed then. She's next out now. Next to go, Paul.
Next to go.
Tricky
Tough one. Yeah. It's tough because, we don't know who's going to go. I'm going to say Will.
Paul?
I'm gonna say Joaquin.
Jared.
I'm going to Lindsay.
And Ben normally doesn't ask this one, but I'm kind of interested in it. And as the season goes on, I'm sure this answer does change a bit. But Jared, which player are you most similar to?
None of them are.
Nina.
I don't want to pick any of them because I feel like they're all just.
Vince?
I'd say Tyler, and that makes me sound so up myself, but I'm just going to say that.
I can see it. Colin?
Yeah, I'd say a cross between Tyler and the better parts of Will.
Paul?
It pains me to say this, but I can maybe a little bit of Rodney. I feel like I know that I'd go out there and I'd tell myself, just don't let people get on your nerves. Don't let it build on you. And I know that at some point, and I'd have to be alone during this, I would just lose it.
We can all see it, Paul.
But, yeah.
we were all thinking that. I think if I had to answer it, I would be a cross between Dan and the monkey that was in the tree.
The howler monkey, yes.
Yeah, just a complete mess. I'd be a howler, Dan.
Well, Shireen wants to bone you, so...
Yeah, she's weird. All right, give me a hashtag for this episode of the Oztopsy and a hashtag for Worlds Apart episode 3, which is hashtag not that good of an episode. Paul.
Oh, well, this is tough. Howlerbonin. Hashtag howlerbonin.
And for the Oztopsy?
For the Oztopsy, this one. I can't remember. What do people say? Pass. Hashtag pass.
All right, Colin.
Hashtag for the episode. Let me go with the hashtag for the autopsy first. Hashtag no more no collar. And hashtag for the episode, I'll go with hashtag did you hear Nina's death?
Jared. I don't know if that was meant to be a play on words, but I love that.
Yeah, I like it.
Jared, hashtag?
For the hashtag hate, and for the episode, hashtag that's all my book.
I'm going to go with hashtag bring back Ben, which I'm surprised no one said.
You're surprised?
I was waiting for that one. Yeah, I was expecting that. No one said it. And also hashtag Paul Lavoie. I think that's Rodney's last name, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it then for this week, episode 3. Ben left us on a good episode to talk about. Thanks, Ben. Tomorrow, which again, it's not going to be tomorrow because these are going to be delayed being put up because Ben's on holiday and all that jazz, and he's a millionaire journalist now. But yes, we are talking with Kathy Sleckman from Survivor Micronesia, and I'm expecting a lot of good opinions from Kathy. But Jared, thanks for being here. Once again, you weren't last, or you weren't least, I should say. Yeah, thanks for being here.
Thank you. I hope that you guys can get Kate on a recap episode sometime soon.
Yeah, I really hope you're talking about Jen's Kate and not just randomly having Ozlet Kate on there. Because,
No, Jen's Kate.
I don't know if Ozlet
Both
Kate is
Kates.
making any appearances after her hang-up gate. Hashtag hang-up gate. Paul, thanks for being here, coming live from your second story apartment.
Yeah, it's been good. It's not a New York apartment, but I'm trying to make it look like that, I guess.
Hanging with your bras.
Yep. Not nearly enough motorbikes, though. So that's, yeah.
Yeah, you're supposed to be Paul Lavoie now. I'm sure Rodney loves the motorbike.
Oh, yeah, I need to down them bottles in the club.
Yeah. And Colin, thanks for being here. Are you looking forward to speaking with Kathy tomorrow? Or today, it should be.
Yeah, if anybody can bring some humor out of this humorless episode, we know it's going to be Kathy.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, as I said, that will be up next week. Probably with this one, you probably already listened to that one before you listen to this, because I'm sure you want to hear Kathy's opinions more than you want to hear our opinions. Ben will be back next week, bringing his normal hosting goodness. No more Princess Who Lost Her Nose, unfortunately, but maybe we need to work on a follow-up to that. And other than that, stay tuned. We have no exit interviews because CBS sucks, so I don't know what else to tell you to stay tuned for except for The Amazing Race Oz, which will be up. Episode 2 will have been already up. My time zones are all out. Episode 3 should be up in a few days. We still need to get episode 2 up. Blame me for that one. I've been slack. Other than that, we will speak to you next time on the train.